The holidays are always a great time of year for me. Everyone's off from school, the neighborhood's all lit up, and most importantly, it's almost time for Christmas. Growing up, I considered December 25th a truly magical day. Many years I would visit relatives and have these huge family gatherings where I would get so many gifts and make eternal memories. You know, retrospectively, these times don't even feel real, since now things are a little different. December is not really a winterish month anymore. In fact, it's gonna be like 50 degrees on Christmas Day. And on top of that, I'm getting older, so I pretty much just buy my own Christmas presents now, which admittedly isn't so bad. I mean, just look at this new keyboard I built myself. But I would be lying if I said I didn't think fondly of those younger days though. And fortunately for me, there's an easy way for me to transport myself back into that cozy feeling, and it's through gaming. My plans for Christmas are pretty simple. Wake up, enjoy a nice cup of coffee, and probably play some sort of relaxing game for a bit. Hopefully, this video can give you a brief hint of that relaxation too, because today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite instances of the winter and holidays in video games. The winter is often used in video games as two different things. It can be viewed as a challenge for players to get through, sometimes required and sometimes optional. Whether this is through some tricky ice physics puzzles or through blizzardy environments, snow levels are usually not the easiest ones around. The second thing that winter is used for is to create an atmosphere. The winter can be harsh, cold, and desolate, but on the other hand, some people might view winter as a time for cozy indoor warmth. It's an interesting paradox, that's for sure. A lot of people hate this time of year because of things like seasonal depression and having to dig out your car from the snow, which is admittedly very annoying. But despite this, we all miss winter when it leaves, usually just because of the great vibes we get from those few weeks of holiday spirit in December. But well, I'm sure no one really wants to talk about the negative stuff, so let's talk about games. My oldest memory of spending Christmas in a virtual world is certainly in Animal Crossing New Leaf. The cool thing about this game is that the in-game days reflect real life. So on Christmas Eve, it was considered Toy Day. Now, obviously, Animal Crossing isn't meant to have very intense gameplay, so truly there isn't much to talk about here. You can dress up as Santa Claus and deliver presents to your villagers. That's pretty much it. I mean, I guess throughout the winter you can build snowmen too, which admittedly was peak fun for me as a kid. There's nothing wrong with keeping things simple though. After all, people are usually quite busy around Christmas time with family and friends, so a quick gaming session is usually preferred. Games set in real time are quite rare though, making this Animal Crossing experience pretty special. A much more common scenario in gaming is actually having levels take place inside of a Christmas or winter theme. These are literally endless, so I'm just going to be talking about my favorites. This year I guarantee that I will be playing Mario Kart 8 with my family, and the first map I want to play on is the Animal Crossing winter map. The music here is so relaxing and the environment just looks amazing. Not to mention, this game is perfect to bring out as a little bonding experience with friends or family. Sticking with Nintendo, the next games I want to talk about are actually the mainline Mario titles that feature wintry levels. I'm sure one of the first stages that comes to mind is Cool Cool Mountain of Mario 64, and while it does look pretty nice, I'm not really a fan of this level, but that's mostly just because I suck at it. The 2D Mario games and Mario Galaxy also had a few cool stages, but the best out of all of these has to be Mario Odyssey's Snow Kingdom. When you first land here, it seems like this place is just one terrible blizzard. Eventually though, you fall down a huge hole and land in this nice town filled with polar bear looking things. This kingdom really nails the whole dynamic of a cold winter being interrupted by a warm and friendly Christmas. A game that pretty much does this exact same thing is Undertale. When you leave the ruins, you're thrust into this snowy and desolate land filled with monsters. Eventually though, after solving a bunch of puzzles and talking with these two skeleton dudes, you enter Snowdin. This town is pretty much themed around the holidays, and it's a great little resting point before you face the boss of the area, although the boss isn't very intimidating anyway. But I guess I should also talk about Chapter 7 of Paper Mario, which also has this unique juxtaposition between a cozy town and a desolate icy area. I think the best part about this place is the music though, since it's just honestly quite relaxing to listen to even outside of the game. Not everything is relaxing about the winter though, and as I mentioned with Mario Odyssey's Snow Kingdom, blizzards are terrible. Usually game developers try not too hard to incorporate these into their games because it just usually slows things down and just isn't fun to play through. Sometimes though, they include it and it can be a hit or miss. One of my least favorite segments including snow is the Route 216 and 217 portion of Pokemon Platinum. These areas are covered in thick snow. This means you can't run or use your bicycle. This basically makes these areas slow in an already slower paced Pokemon game. Not to mention that in battle you'll have to deal with hail all of the time, causing your Pokemon to constantly take damage. I really don't like this portion of the game, and it's a shame because the aesthetic is definitely there. I think that perhaps if they made it easier to traverse, maybe if you ride a Pokemon instead, that I would like it a lot more. Speaking of riding something, pause. Red Dead Redemption 2's opening sequence utilizes horses to fix this issue. It starts you off in a complete travesty of a blizzard, but instead of having you walk through huge sheets of snow, you get to ride a horse. This doubles as a tutorial for the game since horse riding is what you'll be doing for about 50% of it. I think this is a great way to start the game, and you get to see a lot of characters and the way they interact with this tough situation. Personally though, I just like riding horses in games. Plenty of other games have also been able to turn thick snowy environments into fun experiences through various methods of transportation. Breath of the Wild did something really cool with shield surfing, literally letting you turn your shield into a sled. I mean, traversing these snowy regions of this game wasn't really even that bad in the first place as long as you had spicy food or warm clothes. This shield surfing thing was just a bonus. What I think this game really nailed though was the whole snowy atmosphere. 2D games can definitely nail this feeling, but there's nothing like truly being surrounded by snow in a blizzard. In my first playthrough of this game, I probably went way too long just wandering the snowy area since I didn't have my map fully unlocked yet. But you know what? I don't look back and remember being annoyed during it. The whole process of exploring just felt as fun as the rest of the game, and I think that's for several reasons. Of course, the visuals were stunning and the music was atmospheric, but the gameplay is what really made it fun. The shrines were placed in far but not too far locations, so I wouldn't be stranded in the middle of nowhere, and when I finally got the towers to reveal the map, everything just started to make sense. Basically, I enjoyed the journey trying to make sense of this mysterious snowy region. I wasn't just trying to get through it to beat the game. In fact, the great thing about Breath of the Wild is that you aren't really required to do anything, and the fact that I willingly chose to spend so much time in the snowy region makes me think that this is probably one of the greatest areas involving snow in any game. Before this video just becomes entirely about Breath of the Wild though, let's talk about some other titles. I think a few years ago there was a really popular game called Steep. Now I don't know if anyone still plays it, but from what I remember this was a super cool experience where you could just ski and snowboard in this huge open world environment. It was kind of similar to Skate 3 just with snow-based sports. And as someone who hasn't gotten the chance to ski or snowboard in real life yet, this game does make it look super fun, but also a little scary. Now that I think about it, there's one other game with wintry sports stuff that I really like, and it's Persona 4 Golden. Okay, yeah, this isn't a sports game, but the last section of it has a super long scene where you go to this ski resort with all your friends. It's kind of hard to explain why this section is so nice to someone who hasn't played through the game, but it's really just because of the connections you've built with these characters. And for those who don't know, in Persona 4 you literally have a feature in the game where you build a friendship or relationship, and something really cool about this is that the dialogue will change depending on what relationship or friendships you've built up, especially in certain scenes where you're with that person. Overall though, this game has a lot of Christmas spirit because it includes a Christmas and New Year's event where you can actually spend time with your romantic partner. Not only that, but the song that plays when you're going through the winter months of the game is just perfect for the setting. I know some people might think it's weird to connect so much to characters in a video game, but number one, if you think that, this channel isn't for you, and number two, it's normal for people to connect with movie characters, so why is gaming any different? The reason why I love Persona 4 so much is because it emulates the classic friend group experience where you do stuff both in and out of school. Now, I'm certainly not a person who peaked in high school or anything, but it's still great remembering those days where I had huge sleepovers with the boys. And as for the whole relationships part of high school, well, in all seriousness though, during these holidays and beyond, take the time to appreciate any and all relationships you have with friends or family, because I know it can be boring and even annoying sometimes, but at least just know that these days are special and one day you'll probably look back fondly on them. As for me though, I'll just be relaxing, playing games and making videos. Not much different from what I already do, to be honest.